what defensive trait you're going to be rolling. Typically in this game, you're going to see either players choosing evasion defense or choosing endurance defense. So we've talked about traits, we've talked about trait stones, we've also talked about traits in weapons. If you have not checked out any of those videos and you're interested in learning more, make sure to check out my guides down in the description down below. But in this video, we're going to be breaking down traits that you can put into your armor and discuss some of your armor traits. Following after that, we'll discuss traits in accessories. This video is just meant to be a little bit more of a detailed breakdown, kind of explaining some of the traits, how they can help you, and what they offer within the role that you play. It's very, very simple. I'll keep it super simple for you so it's easy to understand. And hopefully by the time you're done this video, the builds that you're following or the builds that you want to create will be easier to understand and make for yourself or follow. So stick along. If this video is helpful, please make sure to like it and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. So in the game, of course, you have your gear, you have the armor and accessories and weaponry that you wear. Just note that your gear score down at the bottom left typically doesn't really matter. I've said this a lot in some of my videos, but in case you're coming now to see this, I do have to mention that typically this stat down here doesn't matter too much. But the stats that do matter are your basic stats in the stat detail chart. You have a wide variety of statistics here, and today we're going to be talking about the defensive ones. The more important ones that I want to talk about and just simply keep as simple as we can so it's easy for you to understand is what defensive trait you're going to be rolling. Typically in this game, you're going to see either players choosing evasion defense or choosing endurance defense. Sometimes you'll see a hybrid mix of the two, and I will talk about all three of those. The long story short is evasion increases your chance simply to evade an attack. What counters evasion is hit chance. Hit chance is like your accuracy in being able to accurately hit a target and deal your damage. The more evasion that you have, the higher chance that you have of completely evading attack and damage altogether, meaning if you successfully evade a target and its damage type, you will take literally 0 damage. But if a target dealing damage to you is successful in getting around your evasion, you will receive all of the damage they are intended to deal to you. The next stat you have is endurance. Endurance basically just minimizes damage that you can take to you. It's like a damage reduction as well as increases the chance of evading critical attacks that can be done to you. To simply put, the way that I understand this is that evasion has a chance to evade all of the damage altogether, and endurance makes you a lot tankier. Let's just keep it super simple for people trying to understand this. If you want to tack on more suggestions and things that I may have missed out, please feel free to put it in the comment section down below so we can help these players in need. Now you'll notice that you have 3 different types of evasion, 3 different types of endurance. You have melee, ranged, and magic. These are for the damage types. Melee being anyone who does physical damage, ranged for anyone that's using a bow or doing range damage, and then magic for anyone that is a spellcaster doing spell types of damage. An example for melee would be daggers, great swords. An example for range would be bows, crossbows, longbows, and for magic you would have wands, staff users, and the rest kind of falls into place. Hopefully you're still with me here. Now it's really good to typically pick one of the two. If you're going to mix the two together, it is very possible to be successful in these departments. If you mix evasion and endurance together, typically the standard that we see across players is people will choose melee evasion or dodging those frontline and physical damage type players, and then go into an endurance type that typically is either ranged or magic. But players typically choose the more popular choice of damage that people are doing, and typically that falls under melee and ranged. There is obviously magic damage in the game, but again, a lot of your defensive statistics will typically choose 2. So if you're going to do a hybrid, a lot of the time you'll see melee evasion stacked on top of ranged endurance, or if you're doing evasion entirely, you'll see players choose 2 of the 3 evasive stats that you see here. And again, following endurance, you'll typically see players choose 2 of the 3 endurance statistics that you see here. It's hard to place out in all 3 of these departments, typically because you'll fall a bit short on the tanky side in all 3 of those. And this game's combat is very, very comparable to a rock, paper, scissors type system where everyone does have a counter based on the builds that they're choosing to do. So that's why you'll see people choose those more popular choices. My personal opinion, I think the most popular choice amongst players abroad is a DPS role. And typically you'll see people go going for physical damage or ranged damage. Of course, anyone can choose anything, but these are the things that I've noticed. So when we look at our gear, you'll notice that the traits that I'm traded into, the two traits specifically, you can see melee endurance, ranged endurance, and again, melee endurance, ranged endurance, and it's right across the board. Melee endurance, ranged endurance. So a lot of the builds that you may potentially be following, these are super important to follow in detail or build in detail for these reasons. Another trait that you'll see some people choose is max HP, obviously for your HP pool. So you may see max HP, 2 evasion choices, or max HP, 2 endurance choices. Some of the other armor that you may wear will also have skill damage resistance on top of having max health, on top of other statistics such as debuff duration, which is going to be the next trait that I'm going to be unlocking actually very soon for this cloak that I'm currently wearing. When we fall briefly into the accessory side, you'll also notice things that like skill damage boost, but again, max health for defense, buff duration for things that you give out, debuff duration, but again, max health, skill damage resistance for increased defense, max health, skill damage boost, more damage, but buff duration for potentially the buffs you may be doing depending on the role that you're playing. But we'll break down accessories a little bit more later. I just want to talk about armor and survivability. Again, if you want to check out some more traits that are chosen within weaponry, I highly recommend checking out this video talking about weapons specifically and just breaking it down. And the reason why I'm giving these explanations at the length that I do is to simply help people and new players understand who, what, when, where, how, why, as I know a lot of us are doing our builds, following our builds, but you may not understand why we're choosing these things and how they affect you, so that as you start building yourself and progressing to later game, you can start making choices for yourself based on what you want to do and you may see best for the situations and scenarios you want to fall into as you potentially change your gear for whatever reason, whether it be the department of PvP, whether it be the department of PvE. Right now, I'm solely focused on the PvP department, hence why I'm wearing the build that I'm currently wearing now. If you're ever curious about what traits a specific piece of gear may have, you can click on it. You can also click the trait list that is available for that certain piece of gear to also potentially help you with the build that maybe you want to create. But again, there's a lot of great build guides out there that are really, really great to follow with veteran experience behind it. And I do recommend following some of these to help push you in the right direction so that when you'd like to start thinking for yourself, or if you want to right off the get-go, these are just really great things to reflect back on for the who, what, when, where, how, why, and such. We go back in here, you can notice again, my evasion may be low, but my endurance is high. My hit chance, however, is low simply because I'm playing a healer, right? So my main focus right now is staying alive and making sure that I can successfully heal my party. I'm actually just noticing that I've recently swapped over to this Forsaken Embrace from something else, and I didn't notice that it impacted my strength. So I definitely want to make sure that I get this back up to 70, because even in your statistics, if you hover over them, you can get additional defensive boosts, you can get additional damage boosts, critical chance boosts, and things like that to also help with the trait builds that you are building. And I will go down the statistics in another video, so make sure you subscribe to my channel and we'll just break some of that down, talk about that, and have a more healthy discussion about that. But for now, it's very important that you dedicate yourself to these departments of your choosing and stick with it. If you have yourself having magic endurance, range endurance, melee endurance, magic evasion, range evasion, melee evasion, it's all spread out and scattered and the numbers are really, really low, chances are your defense is also probably low in total. And it's not good to have all of these spread out. It's very, very healthy to choose one of these departments, build in those so that you can maximize your defensive potential and maximize the chance of survivability, again, in these small scale and large scale fights. So let me go ahead and reset that. I'll set this back to 70 because that's where I had this before. And I'm just gonna have to push this a little bit more. So push some gear a little bit more so I can get this second bracket to increase my buff duration as well. So let's just go ahead and set that back up. And in the meantime, let's not worry about what I just did there. But I do hope that to some of you guys, this was helpful. I know some of the comments section may question why these videos on these topics are in longer form, but my overall goal is to hopefully help share the things that I've learned, help break it down so it's easily understandable for those who are trying to learn the more nitty-gritty details of the game. And again, this is a conversation that I'd love to continue to have with you guys. So if there's things you'd like to add on or things you may feel like I have missed, please share it down in the comments section down below, because my goal and aim is to be able to provide this information to the players that are looking looking for it in hopes that we can help new players kind of avoid some of the gearing up mistakes that I know some of us, including myself, have also made while progressing through the game. If you guys are interested in learning more about traits, definitely check out this video here specifically to learn more about the traits and gearing up properly in the game. And again, I'll provide more details and guides down in the description down below that hopefully you will find helpful. But if this video itself was, or if you did like it, please consider giving it a like. And if you want to see more content from my channel, definitely hit the subscription button and come check out the live stream sometime. I stream quite literally all the time, and you are more than welcome to come join me and ask questions as they come. If I'm playing something else, don't stress on asking questions about Throne and Liberty. I'd love to have you and would be happy to help. But as far as that goes, thank you very much for watching. Have yourself an awesome rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.